Welcome back to Horror Recaps. In a few seconds, you're going to listen to a frightening tale narrated by me. Fear awaits you. Watch out and take care. In the starting scene, we witness a man chained next to a tree. His appearance suggests how his status must be even more pathetic than lowly animals. The man continually exerts force on the iron chains, just for the faint hope of shattering it using his might. All his efforts are in vain though, as the chain refuses to scooch an inch, no matter how frantically he pushes or pulls. With no hope of freedom on the horizon, the man despairs and throws himself on the forest ground in sheer exhaustion. The guy then takes a turn and there's a ton of gruesome scars all across his back, implying that the man's been brutalized early on. Just from the looks of his back, one can visualize the sheer torment he suffered under his captor's hand. The guy sits on the roadside just like that for a moment. He seems to be contemplating something, possibly how miserable his life is and how much worse it may become soon after. Just when the sun's about to unleash its last brilliance and night may soon enshroud the forest in darkness, the nameless guy hears a noise. Soon a car enters within sight and passes alongside the man. The man has yet to breathe a sigh of relief when the guy manipulating the car drives back, and then stops right in front of the man. By now, the enchained dude madly thrusts against the tree, in order to break his chains, but alas, he fails yet again. But from the panic being reflected on the man's face, surely an irredeemable devil must be driving the car. Just then, an anonymous animal hops out of the car and enters the man's sight. Although not much of his appearance is visible in the dim light, one can still at least decipher his dog-like facial features. The humanistic creature grabs hold of his axe and strolls towards the man with a leisurely pace. The guy then crouches beside the prisoner who is, by now, trembling with fear. The scene then cuts there as we're now shown a group of humans sneaking about in the forest. Someone, or rather something, seems to be pursuing them, thus forcing the humans to flee like scared little rabbits. The group soon separates from each other as it's the only effective way to escape in one piece. Soon after separation, one of the guys accidentally places his footstep atop a dry tree branch. The guy is immediately petrified from the resulting noise. Just when he's busy crying to Jesus for help, a mammal's mooing sound pierces his ears like a thunderbolt from behind. The guy is utterly scared at that moment. Meanwhile, the sound of his rapid heartbeat truly elevates the scene's intensity. Sadly though, the person is knocked unconscious even before he has the time to glance back at his assailant. The third scene is presented with a van transferring the human prisoners to some unknown destination. The eyes of the said prisoners reflect an intense desperation as well as fear of the doom that awaits them. The van driver is in fact a 1,000-pound buffalo. Soon everybody is transferred to some kind of butchering facility. From the looks of it, each of these people is about to become helpless fish on the chopping board soon enough. The prisoners inside the vehicle push and pull, all just to delay the inevitable. Soon however, everybody scurries inside the butchery, as the buffalo presents its nasty face from behind and gruffs at them. The buffalo's treatment of the prisoners is in no way different from how us humans care for a herd of cattle and sheep. The scene then switches back to the man previously chained within the forest. Turns out, the dog hadn't in fact killed the man. Rather, he had just intended to use the axe for severing the chains binding the man. The dog then heads over to his shelter with the man in tow. The man has yet to figure out his rescuer's motives when the dog starts applying healing ointments on his brutalized back. The unexpected act of kindness astonishes the man and thus pushes him off balance. In the end, he starts crying whilst the dog is still busy applying the medicine. Though the tears may also be because the healing balm is stinging his wounds. Anyhow, the scene once again flips back to the butchering facility. There we see the guy who had previously been knocked unconscious in the forest. The fully awake guy now faces off against the rowdy buffalo. Although the animal's horrendous build inspires fear in the man's heart, he nonetheless displays a ton of bravado and openly confronts his captor. The end result is him being knocked onto his knees after a whip from the buffalo. Recognizing how he's nowhere near as strong as the mighty buffalo, the previously courageous dude now makes a run for it, with his tail tucked between his legs. Sadly though, things don't end up well for him, as the heavily built buffalo lands a crushing strike on the man's head with piercing swiftness. The end result is the man falling unconscious yet again, this time forever. The buffalo then drags away the corpse and puts the bolt in place before leaving as well, thus locking the prisoners inside. In another part of the same slaughterhouse, a horse is busy chopping human corpses into small-sized chunks. He even hacks the guy's body, the one who died recently under the buffalo's stick, into bite-sized pieces. One of the caged women with quite an elastic and supple physique manages to crawl her way out of the cell. The buffalo, who's still in close proximity, hears the noise. He then strides towards the cell step by step. The woman takes refuge behind one of the walls and luckily, she manages to avoid grabbing the buffalo's attention. Tears stream all the way down her cheeks, as she hears the mad buffalo slaying one of her friends, but remains helpless to do anything. Setting all irrelevant thoughts aside, she sneaks all the way to the facility's door while in a crouching position. Unfortunately, the main door's bolt is stuck in place and won't budge. The buffalo, with his extra sensitive ears, yet again hears the door's creaking sounds. The woman immediately turns a corner and slips away towards another direction. She then reaches the room where the horse is still busy grinding human bones to pieces. Instead of slashing the woman to death with his machete like we expected, the horse instead saves her from the mad buffalo's wrath. He breaks the tyrant buffalo's stick and tells the buffalo to go away. The bull complies and leaves with a frustrated grunt. The horse is obviously the diplomat here, who handles matters with careful precision and cunningness. He then strolls over to the exit with the woman in tow. Just when the girl is about to step out of the slaughter facility, the hypocritical horse bestows her with an instant death. The horse thus uses deceptive maneuvers to first save the damsel in distress and later kills the woman, exactly at the moment when her eyes are aglow with hope for survival. The horse then drags away the woman's corpse and butchers her body into bite-sized, easily digestible pieces as well. He then prepares packages of the said meat, stores them all in buckets labeled neutral, which must obviously be some brand that sells human meat. The horse then drives away from the slaughterhouse. Soon he reaches the dog's cabin, where he successfully delivers a bucket of neutral meat to the said dog, gets paid for it, and then leaves soon after. The dog then pulls out some intestinal human meat from the bucket, places it on a platter and pushes it towards the man. By now, the man is already on the verge of death from starvation. Thus, he pays no heed whatsoever to whether feeding on his own kind is acceptable or not. Instead of wasting his time contemplating useless morals and ethics, the man instead lunges at the said meat with feral ferocity. Sometime later, the dog kick-starts his car engine, with the man already seated in the backseat. The man feels much more comfortable now, since the dog has even handed him over a pair of warm clothing. Both reach their destination by nighttime. The dog chains the man yet again and locks him inside a narrow shed. He then himself heads over to some underground basement with another dog in tow. A while later, another, even more burly and ferocious dog, comes over and drags the man away. They stop after reaching some sort of ring, where the said dog nails the man's chain into the ground. Just then, we witness how there's plenty of other dogs hanging around the ring. Even the horse from the butchery is standing on the edge. The dogs all around then go to the betting table and register themselves as participants in the gambling game. Just when the man is still clueless as to what's happening, a feral wolf barges into the basement. Being dragged behind him is yet another human. Yet, when compared to the savage and ferocious newcomer, the man from before appears timid like a mouse. By now, everything's crystal clear as a battle is inevitable and only one of the two shall survive. The dog who fetched the man now seems remorseful and even a bit uncertain as he looks at the competitor wolf's monstrous pet. He even tries to back out of the game but his accomplices simply push him away. The wolf soon blows the horn, signaling the commencement of the battle. The scuffle begins as both the savage newcomer and the man face each other head-on. Their battle is based purely on the urge for survival, and entails no personal gains, grudges or enmity between themselves. Neither of them even knew one another before tonight, and still, they're forced to slay their own kind now, all just for the outsider's amusement. In the game, the man repeatedly faces setbacks and even tries to back out of it a couple times. At one instance, he even seeks shelter from his owner. Unfortunately, escape isn't an option here as the surrounding dogs either push him away, or the fierce wolf simply pulls the man back into the ring. By now, the man's defeat at his competitor's hand seems inevitable. The audience is frustrated at the man's pathetic performance, and so they start bombarding the dog who brought him here with kicks and punches. Just like a real-time loyal pet, the man can't bear to watch his owner getting beaten. He rushes to save the dog, and even kicks away the wolf and many others in the process. Unluckily, the animalistic hybrids easily overtake the man and pin him to the ground. The agitated wolf then grabs his axe and ruthlessly severs the man's head. A while later, the horse heads back to the butchery with the winning man in tow. The survivor immediately recognizes the perils of the slaughterhouse and firms his belief in escaping. Very soon, He grasps the opportunity to slip under the buffalo's radar and sprints far off into the distance. In the ending scene, we see a deer patiently waiting for prey to enter his sight. In his hands is a gun delegated for hunting tasks. The human-animal hybrid soon spots the said prey and rushes to close the distance. Once he's in the vicinity, the deer fires the gun at some unknown target. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.